Hello, everybody, and welcome back to JRE in a nutshell. Man, I am so excited this week because last week we had three crazy good episodes that honestly, if you ask my opinion, I would recommend you if you have the time to watch all of them full. Every episode that came out, I started doing timestamps because I thought this is the one that I'm gonna timestamp this week, and then the next one would override it and override it. All of them crazy good. So yeah, I hope you're excited too, and let's get started. So first, let's start with Dr. Bret Weinstein. I don't know if you heard about him. He's very famous, and the minute I read like new episode Bret Weinstein, I was like, what? This guy is very controversial. If you don't know who he is, I would totally understand because he was very suppressed by the mainstream media during COVID because he had very controversial opinions on COVID and on the vaccine, etc. So I wanted to do the timestamp on this, but then I realized it doesn't really make sense because they speak through the whole episode about mainly the one subject. They deviate a little bit, but it's 95% it's about the COVID vaccine and the COVID pandemic and what happened, what didn't happen, and theories and everything related to COVID mostly. So if you are interested in that subject, like I am, of course, it's part of our lives and it happened to all of us. So I definitely recommend you to check it out fully. It's very interesting, and this guy is really well informed. He's a doctor in biology, so he kind of knows what he's talking about. And he has a very famous podcast, and yeah, he's very famous, successful. So yeah, definitely check it out. I would give it honestly around 4 nuts, maybe even 4.5 because it's so interesting. So now let's talk about Dave Portnoy. This guy is been he has a digital media company and he's been in media for a decade or 2 decades, I think he spoke about. So they speak a lot about news, which is for me pretty interesting. I literally did the whole timestamp on this episode, and then I decided to do the next one because it's crazy. But this one is really interesting. They go through a lot of news, including the Twitter files. They speak a lot about boxing and about the MMA in general. They even have an argument around the 2 hour 20 second, 2 hour 20 minutes. Sorry, they have. Joe gets angry at him because he was like they have a small confrontation. Then of course they completely like they move past it. Like, and I don't think I've ever seen Joe fight properly. Maybe he did it, and I don't know about it. But yeah, but it's actually it got pretty heated according to average, let's say. So that was a bit fun, but otherwise, yeah, they speak a lot about fighting, but also after that um, they go through the Spotify controversy with Joe himself. Like Dave asks him what happened with the Spotify thing, and he actually until now I don't think I heard him talk about it. So that was pretty interesting to hear from him everything that happened and how it went down and all of that. Also, they go through the Andrew Tate situation or controversy that's going on, and they speak about politics. Then they go through Donald Trump and Kanye or and all of that stuff. So pretty interesting episode. A lot of news, a lot of what's going on around the world today. Extremely interesting. I would have given it 4.5, maybe even crazy nuts 5 nuts. But so yeah, so definitely recommended. Go and check it out right now. So now let's talk about Peter Zeihan. This guy, I never heard of this motherfucker before. I don't know where the fuck he came from. I never heard Twitters of him, or I never heard him being cancelled, or because he has really controversial views and nothing. No, never heard of this guy before in my life. He is an unbelievably accurate bucket of knowledge. He's like a walking Google. Terrible marketing, obviously, because I am really into all of this situation and I've never heard of him, so he could use a bit of marketing knowledge. But the way that this guy speaks with such determination and accuracy and just sure certainty, basically, that what he's saying is true, and he goes like he picks up numbers and averages and fucking statistics out of his head in seconds about so many different subjects. They go through mostly news of the world, and they start with Russia, Ukraine, then they go to China, then they go. um, they do a lot of well, not a lot. It's only 2 hours. That's another cool thing, that it's short basically compared to others, and it's packed from beginning to end. Like, these 2 hours are gonna fly by, I promise you. Every subject is super interesting. So they take a little bit. They speak about crypto also. They speak about what else? The American Mexican relationships and cartels, and they go through all of the Mexican cartels stories and stuff. And he has a very interesting point of view of the end of the world, let's say, that I've never heard before. Like, I was already worried about all of this shit, and then he comes and goes like, no, all of that you're worried about, global warming and nuclear war and all of that they talk about, all of this is not really that important. The real issue is this shit. And you go like, holy fuck, what the hell is going on? So man, it's gonna blow your mind, I promise you. And I think that if you're interested in a Joe Rogan experience, you're definitely, doesn't matter what you like, you're definitely gonna like. This is an episode for everyone, 100%. 5 nuts, crazy episode, eye-opening, and really, I played it twice, like back to back, because I was like, this is not gonna, nah, wait. I didn't really kind of get it the first time. It's so crazy shit. Definitely 100% check it out from start to end. So now let's go through the timestamps of this crazy interesting episode with this genius guy. Crazy interesting and smart, and like I said, he has evolved the things, his knowledge, the knowledge that he pulls out of his head is crazy, and I never heard of him. This is the weird thing. So anyway, so they start. Of course, he speaks about his background for a minute, literally, 1.5 minutes, and then they go straight to basically what's going on in the world. They start with the Ukraine-Russia conflict that's happening, and that takes them immediately to him saying that this is actually a symptom, not a cause, and the reasons why. Then they move to China, and that takes them to the U.S.-Mexico relationships. They all, including the cartels. For a little bit, around 1 hour 11, we're now. For a little bit, they speak about China, and also for a couple minutes, he talks also a bit about himself, rather. And then they move to EVs, electric vehicles, and it's kind of the catalyst of the energy talk. So they go through climate change, they go to new fuel options, and all alternative fuel options that don't exist, and nuclear. They speak about nuclear energy and the whole energy situation. How does it look like, the past, the present, and the future? They go straight to food. Of course, they speak mostly in the eyes of the U.S. They do speak globally a little bit, but not very specifically. But in this moment, they are talking about what does the food source look like for the U.S. and then for the world, for in the future, including agriculture, of course, and the whole prospect of for how long do we have food, let's say. Then the direct question, how long until the global collapse happens? They speak about that, and then the question is asked, where are we in the next 25 years? And they speak about that, and of course, they cannot talk about the future without talking about upcoming generations. He says his opinions about the upcoming generations, the millennials, the Gen Zs, and the Zooms, and all of those stuff. I don't really know the terms very well, but I guess those are correct. Forgive me if they're not. And they finish with talking a little bit about crypto, which is very disappointing because I hold crypto. So it's really sad to hear his negative opinion of it. But even though I disagree, his opinion, my opinion, the way that he says or what he says about it doesn't change the way I think about it. I still support crypto and I'm still happy to hold. I'm not gonna sell anything just because this guy said this. So I actually don't really agree with a lot of the things he said. But yeah, of course I'm biased. So you make your own opinion. Listen to it yourself. It's at the very end, the last 10 minutes probably. So yeah, all in all, as I said, crazy interesting episode, only 2 hours. So very easy for a new person if it's your first time watching the JRE. It's a really nice episode because it's packed with interesting information that matters to all of us globally. Basically, everything that he talks about, everybody in the world should be interested in this information because it's important for all of us, especially if you're under 50. Let's say if you're 50 and under 60 and under, it's very important because it's about all of our future. So yeah, definitely 5 Nuts. Go check it out. So, and that is a wrap for another JRE in a nutshell. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for recommending me if you like it. And if you don't like it, please shoot me a comment. Why don't you like it? What's up? What can I do better? I can always improve, of course, especially because I'm fairly new at this and I don't know shit what I'm doing. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. So, of course, every input is very good for me. If you like it, also shoot me a comment. Of course, I'm not the one to I don't know, get egocentrical reading comments and shit. But of course, a little ego boost is never a bad thing. So share me if you like it in Instagram, in your social media, in your Twitter, in your whatever the hell you have, and please talk about it. I believe in the word of mouth. So if you like it, recommend me. And if you have requests about any episode that you would like me to timestamp, even if it's in the past, this motherfucker is all I listen to, so I wouldn't mind. I like listening to past episodes. That also I could do. So yeah, in general, thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.